Over the last 15 years, South Park has taken aim at Kanye West a few times, we'll say. Between seasons 13 and 26, South Park has poked fun at Ye in 3 different episodes and a video game. And if you know Kanye, you might not be surprised to hear that he responded. But the entire timeline of the South Park vs. Kanye West war, or the Great Southwest Feud as I call it, is kind of hilarious when you look at it in context. A lot of it did not happen in the ways that you might expect. Other parts did. So today I want to look at the entire history of this Southwest feud and break down the surprising timeline. Hey, this video is brought to you by 2 things today. One is my official compilation channel, Johnny Too Cozy, where I'm re-editing tons of my old videos into themed compilations, long videos that are great for sleeping or drawing. And second, my wonderful patrons who get tons of extra content exclusive to Patreon. We're currently in the middle of season 2 of our BoJack Horseman audio commentaries. Check those out if they interest you. Thank you so much for your support. I couldn't do it without viewers like you. So the whole South Park / Kanye thing actually dates back to 2009 with one of the most infamous episodes in South Park's history, Fish Sticks. Actually, even before that, when the Fish Sticks joke itself was born at one of the yearly South Park writers' retreats, something they do before every season to brainstorm ideas. They were basically on a group field trip to watch the salmon jump, and just from general writer riffing came up with the joke.
And then someone was like, fish stick? And he was like, no, fish dick. And I was like, fish stick or fish dick? What are you saying? Like fish sticks, like you eat, or like a fish's actual penis? And it's like, and then Trey like turned around, he's like, has anybody ever made that joke?
I love this description of Trey here. It's exactly what we see in the episode itself, just everyone kind of amazed that this perfect joke has never been made.
And he like Googles it and he's like, no one's made that joke. No one's made that joke.
But that is actually sort of the funniest thing about this first Kanye West episode. It was this silly, happenstantial line of thinking that started with a joke about a gay fish.
When we first came up with it, it was absolutely absurdist, had nothing to do with Kanye West at all.
It wasn't
But
like,
then,
let's rip on Kanye West.
It wasn't like, yeah, it was just stupid.
Like, yeah, they did eventually land on the idea that Kanye would be the person who would not remotely understand the humor in the fish sticks joke, but the way they got there wasn't even malicious. It literally started with the salmon they were watching.
Matt was like, what if one of them was just like on an Evel Knievel bike, like, yeah!
Here's Matt on the whole Evel Knievel thought process.
And then we started talking about that Kanye West video where he pretended to be Evel Knievel jumping over Snake River.
They seriously just got to Kanye initially by like playing word association games, which is very funny to me. This entire episode was really formed around this silly joke about fish sticks, but it's kind of mostly remembered for turning Kanye West into a gay fish. Side note, that Touch the Sky video they're talking about is like undeniably great.
This is why we couldn't never work out, Nia.
You know who I am?
I know, I said your name.
But this silly joke that they made watching the salmon jump was what started the entire Kanye / South Park saga, or the Southwest feud as I will insist we continue to call it. And in the episode, it really just boils down to the idea that Kanye is too stupid to understand the play on words, but too egotistical not to make a big deal out of it.
Hey man, I'm a genius, all right? I'm the most talented musician in the world. If I was a homosexual or a fish, I would know.
Honestly, this episode is kind of just the same joke over and over again, but the repetition is truly funny, and they always find new ways to convey that same joke. Like, I think it actually just gets funnier the more times they try to walk Kanye through it.
A male that likes fish dicks.
Yeah, I like fish sticks.
You like to put fish dicks in your mouth.
Yeah.
Then, of course, just the extreme lengths that Kanye will go to try and prove that he is not a gay fish, simply because he does not understand the play on words.
Because I am a genius, I have ascertained that fish have gills. Doctor, do I have gills?
But they poke even harder at Kanye's ego. The closest his crew gets to actually explaining the fish sticks joke to him, he fully ignores because he refuses to believe that he himself wouldn't be able to understand the joke.
You see, fish dicks is a play on words.
I don't need anyone telling me play on words. I'm a motherfucking lyrical wordsmith, motherfucking genius.
Some of the absolute funniest moments of the episode are people just begging Kanye to understand. The Carlos Mencia sequence might be my favorite.
Cause you like fish sticks, man. Come on, man. Don't you get it? Please, just get it, man.
Like I said, it's just the same joke over and over, but somehow it just gets funnier. Even at the end, Kanye literally ties up children, Jimmy and Cartman, because he thinks they're responsible for his bad press.
Why did you start these rumors about me?
Honestly, the entire Jimmy and Cartman plot is the most substantial part of this episode. It's really what the episode is about. Probably the reason that I'll still do a specific episode breakdown about fish sticks to really dive into that commentary, even though we're really talking about it a lot here. But the way it ties in is the theme of ego. Cartman did not write the fish sticks joke, Jimmy did, but he's convinced himself not only that he has, but that Jimmy is this awful person who tried to take credit.
That you have such a huge ego, you do these mental gymnastics to make yourself a part of things.
And this is obviously what is supposed to cross over into Kanye's lesson here as well. His ego is so big that he cannot comprehend that the gay fish joke is not about him specifically. But maybe the funniest part of this episode is, of course, that Kanye still doesn't understand the joke. He just embraces his new life
under the sea.
The end of this episode is actually so happy. Kanye just swimming around with those fish. It's really funny, and a far cry from the alternate ending where the Coast Guard discovers his body. Have y'all ever seen this thing? This is super reminiscent of like the ending of Free Willsiacs or 201. Really dark, man. But of course, it's a good thing they didn't fully use this because they'd bring Kanye back eventually. Though, I guess they have brought back dead celebrities before, many times. This episode has Conan O'Brien in it, who also killed himself back in the South Park movie. And while the episode just completely destroyed Kanye's egotistical nature, I think maybe the most shocking aspect was his initial response. Kanye took to his blog the very next day to respond to the episode, and at first, he actually fully took it in stride.
It was all Kanye saying, basically like, well, South Park really made fun of me last night, and it made me realize I really do need to look at myself, and I really do. And it was shocking.
It was
really
unexpected reaction.
There's a lot in this blog post, but I'm going to read a few select parts. Also, he writes in all caps, so that's how I'm going to read it too. South Park murdered me last night, and it's pretty funny. It hurts my feelings, but what can you expect from South Park? Having the crazy ego is played out at this point in my life and career. I used to use it to build up my esteem when nobody believed in me. I got a long road ahead of me to make people believe I'm not actually a huge douche, but I'm up for the challenge. I'm sure the writers at South Park are really nice people in real life. And that, of course, is the story of how South Park helped Kanye West get over his ego and become a much better person. After that, he never made any embarrassing public faux pas ever again.
I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
Oh yeah, that's right. This episode came out before the whole Kanye interrupts Taylor at the VMAs debacle, which is so funny because with how topical South Park is, you would expect that their 2009 Kanye episode would have definitely been in response to his big 2009 controversy. But nope, South Park covered Kanye like 4 months before he did this. And though he seemed to take those initial licks on the chin and claimed he was going to try to keep his ego in check, he did not. The following year, Kanye released his album My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and he actually referenced South Park's Fish Sticks episode on the track Gorgeous.
Choke a South Park writer with a fish stick.
Then, just 1 year after that, he referenced South Park again in the track Made in America with Jay-Z.
South Park had them all laughing.
After this, all was quiet on the Southwest front, at least for a couple years. Then, in December 2013, The Hobbit released. No, not that Hobbit. South Park's episode, The Hobbit, the next in their series to take aim at Kanye, primarily by making fun of Kim Kardashian.
But she can't be here because she has a movie coming out on Friday, directed by Peter Jackson, called The Hobbit. Hold up.
But ironically, this also was not a pointed attempt to get back at Kanye or continue to take down Kanye. The idea once again stemmed from an entirely different place. That, of course, being Kim Kardashian. Trey explained in the commentary how he got the idea after one of his friends, who got back in amazing shape after giving birth, still felt bad about her body after seeing a photo of Kim Kardashian.
Like, I'm trying really hard and I can't look like that. And I'm like, well, she doesn't look like that either. that's that's Photoshop. And she's like, but this part's a video, and it's like, they can totally do that on video.
And this episode is pretty excellent commentary about the state of celebrity and social media and the kinds of examples that these celebrities are setting for everyday people. Since this commentary stemmed from Kim Kardashian and was all about how she doesn't actually look like she does in her photos or on her Instagram, they opted to use her very public-facing boyfriend, Kanye West. Sort of just another coincidence that Kanye got roped in and lambasted, this time really focusing on how insecure he is about his and Kim's public images.
Okay, if she is a hobbit, then how come she don't live in a hole in the ground? Boom! Oh, y'all just got lit up!
Hilariously, South Park was so ahead of the curve last time by smearing Kanye 4 months before his big VMA interruption, they were like 4 years behind when it came to parodying that actual event. In this episode, having him interrupt the Pope on stage.
All right, hold up. Hold up, I'm sorry, Pope, but hold up.
Honestly, I think one of the funnier parts of this portrayal of Kanye is that it seems like he actually has grown a tiny bit in his characterization. Where last time he was just completely incapable of putting the fish sticks joke together, in this one, it continually dawns on him that there is just like a hilarious mountain of evidence pointing to Kim being a hobbit.
Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which is a show about short, loud little people living in a fantasy world. Hold up.
One thing they were not late to the parody party on in this episode was Kanye's Bound 2 music video, which came out less than a month before this episode released.
One thing I know, my girl ain't no hobbit. She might be stumpy, that don't mean she a hobbit.
Okay, can we talk about the Bound 2 music video for a second? Because this goddamn song, I've been listening to a lot of Kanye tracks for this video, and Bound 2 sounds like a bad parody of Kanye.
Honey.
I wanna f you hard on the sink. After that, get you something to drink.
I'm a motherfucking lyrical wordsmith.
The backing track sounds like a loop of musical transitions they fit between scenes in movies. And honestly, huge shout out to these delusional Ye fans in the comments. Honestly, I kinda respect this level of devotion.
Guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.
The episode ends with Kanye crying, reading a Hobbit story to Wendy. While the episode definitely shows a bit of evolution for this version of Kanye, it also definitely pokes at the exact same insecurities as the last one. Kanye's ego is so big that he cannot begin to cope with any kind of rumors painting him or his girl in a bad light. Pretty consistent commentary for South Park.
Bitch, if you're the hobbit, you need to let me know right now, because I'm making a fool of myself out here.
This would actually be the final time that Kanye appeared in a South Park property. Appeared being the key term here, because they absolutely were not done making fun of him yet. At E3 2016, rest in peace, Kanye revealed a trailer for his video game, a 51-second teaser with admittedly very beautiful visuals, produced with the intention of being a tribute to his late mother, rest in peace. It seemed to involve angels reaching heaven on Pegasi, though the trailer honestly does not really hint at all about what the gameplay would look like. But the following year, South Park happened to release one of their video games, South Park: The Fractured But Whole, and they took the opportunity to rip on Ye and his video game.
Right now, there is a gay fish who wants help getting his mother into heaven. I want to help the little gay fish, but all the other super best friends keep saying they're too busy. Will you help?
I'm not entirely sure why they avoided actually showing Kanye's likeness in the game, but I can't pretend like this isn't just as funny, a hilarious way to build on the previous South Park appearances.
Oh, thank you, Seaman. You really think you can help my mom get to heaven?
It's Seaman, and yes, I do. This child has incredible powers.
All right, if you get my mom into heaven, I will give you $3 million and some jewelry.
They basically made Kanye's game into an incredibly difficult Flappy Bird clone where a unicorn farts rainbows to get to heaven. The game is intentionally poorly designed, and they make it near impossible to win without being given a couple dozen extra hearts.
I love you, Mama. I'll see you soon, baby. Yep, I'll see you soon, Mom. Wait, what the is that supposed to mean?
Overall, it is a tiny part of the game that holds absolutely no bearing on the actual story, but it's funny that they fit it in there, especially because Kanye definitely abandoned that video game like immediately after the trailer released, so this is the only version of it to ever exist publicly. You also can see the gay fish and seaman at Crunchy's microbrew after you complete this quest, and their conversations are very funny.
You know, artists come up to me all the time, they're like, "Gay fish, where do you get inspiration?" And that's all wrong, because I don't get inspiration. I always had it. I popped out of the fish egg and I was a gay fish, day one.
But this was 2017. Surely by now, Kanye had gotten over this stuff. Surely he understood the fish sticks joke and just accepted it as a funny thing that happened to him.
And I'm the one who you eat fish sticks because I have skinny jeans on.
Is it perhaps that I'm fashionable and fish sticks are crunchy?
Oh, Kanye. Even 2 years after this clip, in the early leaked version of his track Life of the Party, Kanye had written yet another fish sticks reference in one of his lyrics.
South Park had jokes about fish sticks.
Bro, it has been 12 years. You have got to let this go. At least this wasn't on the final track, but still, man, Matt and Trey got in his head, and to them it was all kind of just an afterthought. But the Southwest conflict wasn't quite over yet.
I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor.
Obviously, over the past couple of years, Kanye has been in the news for some slightly more egregious and problematic claims about Jewish people, alongside some pretty bizarre stunts like his appearance on InfoWars. So it probably wasn't a surprise that South Park also addressed this controversy. This time, even less directly than in the video game, not even really making Kanye a character in the episode. Instead, the episode Cupid Ye brings back Cartman's internal monologue / alter ego, Cupid Me, sort of amalgamated with Kanye himself. Basically, Kanye's problematic beliefs are filtered from Cupid Ye through Cartman into the real world. Since it's all filtered through Cartman, this is as much a Cartman episode as it is a Kanye episode. So while the commentary surrounds Kanye's antics at the time, the motivations are all Cartman character stuff. Basically, when Stan gets jealous that Kyle is spending more time with Tolkien than him, Cartman sees an opportunity to hurt Kyle and spread his long-standing anti-Semitic beliefs. He basically parrots all the things that Kanye was saying on his press tour around that time in an attempt to turn Tolkien against Kyle.
Well, mostly I just mean that Jews control everything we see on TV and the movies.
Half of this rhetoric is sort of the standard fare we hear from Cartman, and then the other half comes from Cupid Ye, meant to represent some of the more abhorrent things that Kanye was saying on his big press tour.
Yeah, so Hitler actually wasn't a bad guy. Yes, whoa, Cupid Me, that's going a bit too far.
Even though they sort of differentiate the beliefs of Cartman and Cupid, they also pretty blatantly show that Cartman is Cupid, even when we're specifically visualizing Cupid.
Think about it. Are you really making TikToks together, or is Kyle profiting off of you?
After this, we see actual Cartman scrambling out of Tolkien's window, implying it's been him the entire time, which also means that this whole Valentine's Day display was Cartman's doing. So essentially, in this episode, Cartman is the Kanye stand-in. The commentary is all focused and filtered through Cartman's antics. On top of this, I think that Cupid Ye's whole arrow gimmick is a really apt visualization for how these anti-Semitic ideas can end up spreading, even when they're coming from what feels like an obviously unreliable source. You might expect that critical thinking or basic research could stomp out these claims really easily, but the more they're echoed in the news cycle, even if it's to criticize those claims, the more people seem to just get stuck with those little Nazi arrows.
I'm not even going to justify that with a response, because repeating a derogatory slur, even for the purpose of refuting it, can make stupid people think it's valid.
This is obviously quite a bit different than how they went about making fun of Kanye previously, when they really focused on the inflated ego and showcased exaggerated, sillier instances of that ego going unchecked. But I think when it came to this press tour and this controversy, that same kind of satire would not have landed well. It's funny to make fun of Kanye's inflated ego, but the claims Kanye was making on his tour here were very serious and have escalated to a level where it's sort of hard to satirize them as blatantly. They were almost beyond parody. I mean, that thing he wore on InfoWars is more absurd than anything they ever made him say on South Park. I think filtering these beliefs through a story about Cartman's mental health and the way he's brazenly making troubling and problematic claims was actually a really smart way to go about it. During that press tour, the conversation around Kanye did start to focus more on his mental health. People were just genuinely worried about him because of the way he was conducting himself, wondering whether or not he was having a manic episode. Satirizing that aspect indirectly is a bit more thoughtful than just parading a fictional version of Kanye around in the midst of that kind of concerning behavior. I know this video started out a lot more comedically and has entered a little bit more serious territory, but that is sadly also just the way Kanye's behavior itself has trended. In fact, at the moment, there are some pretty serious rumors about why his mental health has declined in this way, involving a celebrity dentist siphoning money from him by getting him hooked on nitrous. It's really nasty stuff, and I hope that if it's true, he really gets the help that he needs, because even just covering Kanye through the filter of South Park, it's clear how much he has changed over the years. Even though he didn't follow through, I think back to that blog post that Ye made after the fish sticks episode. That felt like a genuine self-reflection in that moment. A guy looking at his behavior and saying, damn, maybe I do need to change. And I think there is just no possible way anyone could imagine modern Kanye even conceiving of writing something like that about himself. Maybe Kanye needs to take a step away from his enablers and vices and really find happiness somewhere else.
I've been so lonely, girl, I've been so sad and down. Couldn't understand why haters joked around. I wanted to be free with other creatures like me, and now I got my wish. Cause I know that I'm a gay fish. Gay fish, gay fish, yo. Motherfucking gay fish. I'm a fish, yo. Going on a gay fish, gay fish. It's alright, girls. Making love to other gay fish. Gay fish.
Johnny
I stay mellow watching Johnny Two Cellos. He talks cartoons, he's a really cool fellow. He keeps you posted on adult cartoons. If that's what you're into, then grab a spoon and a very big bowl of your favorite cereal. Feels like Saturday morning cartoon material. Johnny Two Cellos, watch him on YouTube. Now enjoy this groove and bust a move.